Lore Lesson, The Ancients, Part 3. Governor Sullus. Our journey across this accursed land continues. We've traveled to the eastern coast of the island through the territories of the Restless Shore and Morningdale. We continue to discover numerous towers jutting into the sky and effigies of the ancients. Quite the self-absorbed beings, it seems. Sculptures of their image dot the landscape in many locations, especially those where mysterious energies are encountered. Some time ago, I promised you a more detailed and analytical synopsis of our findings on the ancients. In our travels, I've had much time to speculate and ponder. There is no doubt others have come before us in hopes of uncovering the mysteries of these ancients. A missive we found deep in a temple ruin describes much of what we discovered to date. 4 page of statuary and symbolism. The statues within the temple were strange, indeed, yet were clearly of the culture that came before. Yet the likeness was peculiar, each statue bearing a twin pair of arms and cleft down the middle, much like the spheres great and small. A division of the self, a representation of duality perhaps. In one of the statue's hands was a weapon, the other a familiar orb, outstretched. Perhaps it was a religious symbol, or something to channel other forces perhaps. I found another skeleton intact, but with a spear and armor, unlike the ones on the perimeter outside. A leader or ruler perhaps? It had not been buried, it seemed more a guard of the stone coffer within the temple. Signed, G. One point of contention that sticks in my mind, Governor. Why did the ancients have 4 arms and a split face? My mind has gone in circles with this mystery. First, it is difficult to imagine just how supernatural these beings would appear in the first place. But once your mind accepts its probable truth, you can begin to speculate just what and who these beings were. The thoughts bring me back to primary school, when we first learned of the myths of ancient Greece. As you may or may not recall, the mythology of the period describes humans as originally having 4 arms and 4 legs. They were both man and woman and were adorned with a head with 2 faces. There was a time that humans were very powerful creatures, fearless and strong, and even dared to threaten to conquer the gods and rule in their stead, becoming new gods. The gods themselves, threatened by the notion, had to answer. They contemplated how to face the human threat and what they needed to accomplish for balance and harmony to be restored once again. They would split the humans in half and punish them for their pride and hubris. Apart from the pain that would cause them, they would also double the population of humans, hence doubling the tributes that had to be made to the gods by the humans. And so they did, and the humans everywhere were split in 2, condemning them to spend their lives in search of the other halves. This is where the term Soulmates originates. Apollo, the god of music, truth and prophecy, healing and light, could not bear to see them like this. So to ease their pain, he sewed them up, reconstituted their body forms, and just left the navel as the only reminder of their original form. So humans went from double-faced and double-sexed creatures with 8 limbs to single-faced ones of a single sex with 2 arms and 2 legs. And they forever longed for their soul and their physical other half. Now this reminds me of Isabella, this tempest, who is rumored to only have half a soul, and she seeks the box which holds her other half. Did she barter a portion of her soul to some dark underworld deity? Does this mean us humans upon the island may fall to corruption and lose half of our own soul? The mere thought is frightening. Now, these theories certainly play into the mythos of these ancients being gods with 4 arms and 2 faces. But what insanity! How could this be true, even upon this enchanted island? Another fact that plagues me, Governor, is that many of these giant spires erecting from the ground, these obelisks, are each named after the constellations of ancient Greek mythology. Orion, Hydrus, Octant, Draco, Delphinus, Cygnus, just to name the ones that we've encountered or have been told about by the locals. The Orion cluster of stars, as you probably know, is one of the brightest and most renowned in the night sky. I can't help but wonder if the locations of these obelisks on the island are from the best viewing location to each of these mythological constellations. Orion, known as the Hunter, was born to Uriel and Poseidon, which we also know as Neptune. His father was the god of the sea, my governor. Could this hold some significance as to what drew our ships to the island? Delphinus, on the other hand, is a constellation found in the northern skies. It is quite recognizable from the crystal clear nights in the skies over Everfall, where the obelisk is located. Delphinus represents the dolphin sent by Poseidon to find a Nereid named Amphitrite. Again, mythology relating to the open sea. There is something to all of this. There must be a reason these obelisks were named after all of the Greek constellations, and I intend to find the reason. Do these spires draw power from the very stars above? Who named the obelisks? Ingenious, if you ask me. The Greek constellations and distinct patterns that have burned in the night sky over the millennia marked some of the most recognizable mythology in our world's history. But I digress. I can no longer make sense of what is actually our world anymore. What's more are the presence of these spherical sculptures of all sizes found across the landscape of Aeternum. Some are small, about the height of the common man. Some can fit in the palm of a man's hand, where others are hulking in size, as much as the height of 20 men or more. They all appear to have fallen from the sky, as nearly every one we've found has been deeply inset into the earth. Massive, heavy, and immovable. In addition to finding them on the surface, we've found them underground, as part of the effigies of the ancients entombed within the structures they've built. Some statues of the 4-armed entities hold them in their grasp, others inset into stone doors with power emanating from their core. One of our expedition's most astute scholars is convinced these stone spheres served as a containment unit for the powerful Azoth element or its pure energy, a likely use for them, but we remain unconvinced. We need more evidence. Many questions remain, my governor. What are they doing here, and what do they represent? What is their purpose? Do they represent the planets above, the moon, Mercury, Venus, or the sun perhaps? They all seem to represent energy of a sort, as they did in mythology. Atlas, for example, which they resemble, was the Titan, condemned to hold up the heavens and the sky for an eternity. He is typically depicted as a human holding a large sphere, not unlike these. Maybe a stretch, but do we not use the term atlas to describe a collection of maps? But a map to what? The spheres seem to be everywhere. We found an old journal entry in Windsward referring to the same findings we had discovered. What do they want us to find? Lore page, Grenville, and the temple. Circles within circles. Maddie's words again prove true. The skeletons on the outskirts of the structure have small spheres, with markings much like the great spheres embedded in their chests. They were not posed as warnings. They seemed to have lived once, and I could see the trails they had worn in the stone in the temple perimeter as if they had walked a circle about it countless times, yet simply one day stopped. I took to one of the spheres for study. Tomorrow, Rolf, if he will come, fear is continually evident on his face, and I will press on into the temple proper. Signed, Grenville. Too many questions, but the lack of answers continues to contribute to the frustrations of my expedition. I do what I can to keep the morale at a manageable level, but between long days of digging for evidence, traversing some of the most uninhabitable territory imaginable, and having to fend for our very lives, I fear my people are waning. Steady on our course, however, we have a renewed sense of duty and hope upon every discovery. We have an unwavering commitment to the company, the syndicate, and the lore we seek. Fear not, Governor Solus. We are resolute and we are strong. For more information shall be forthcoming as soon as we discover it. Your loyal servant and friend, Cassius Kilborn.